I think you really need to take a look at the enterprise characteristics themselves. I call it understanding yourself before you try to work with somebody else. And things that I would take a look at are, do you have a defined business strategy? Again, you're probably outsourcing to meet a business goal. At least that's what you should be outsourcing for. So how good is your organization at defining and articulating that business strategy? Also, how good are your people? What kind of human capital do you have? And where should you make levels of investment, or where can you find different skills or resources in the external market? Probably offshore. So you need to take a look at internal effectiveness to see where you can supplement or wholly source pieces of work to be done. We also need to look at appetite for change. If you are offshoring, you're creating a lot of churn in your organization. And sometimes that churn is looked at negatively. And if you are an organization that is risk averse or not very well versed in doing formal change management approaches, you are going to have a tougher time offshoring than an organization that has really got their act together and when they're making huge changes, know how to communicate those effectively, know how to get stakeholders involved, and know how to broadcast the message appropriately so everyone knows what's going on and they're less concerned about the actions the organization is taking. You need to take a look at stakeholder involvement. Do you have people that are supporters of what you're trying to do, especially in an offshore model? If you know you have business units that absolutely are going to put their foot down and not support the decision, perhaps that's not the business unit to start offshoring with. It makes logical sense, but I've seen clients make the wrong decisions all the time. So know yourselves. Also, how mature are your requirements? When we're working with outsourcing providers, offshore providers, you are passing to them what work needs to be done. Let's say application services. If you are not clear and cannot clearly articulate what you're trying to do, that service provider, especially one that's 7,000 miles away, is going to have a tough time deciphering what your needs are. And they will code to what you're asking them to do. And so if you're not clear, if you're not consistent, if you're not mature, then you're going to get back some code that probably will take a little bit longer to produce, so your productivity numbers are going to be down, and there'll probably be more rework as part of that offshoring deal than if you were clean yourself going into it. You also need to take a look at process maturity. How good are you at doing things? How mature is your organization? This is especially important if you are going to try to share the workload, and I've seen clients try to do this, where they want 24-hour follow the sun development, so I'll do a piece, you do a piece, but what if that provider you're working with is a CMM level 5 and you're a CMM level 1, if that, in a very chaotic state? You're not even talking the same process language, so sharing that workload and having consistency of code is really going to be tricky, so know yourself. So it comes back to just knowing your organization, your tolerances, your business support, if there is some there, and then strongly communicate your message, and I think that's really important. Well, I think any deal, offshore, onshore, nearshore, doesn't make a difference to me. You have to make sure that the goals are linked to the business goals, and that that's clearly articulated in the contract. For example, I see deals all the time where they say, we are contracting to enhance IT capabilities and effectiveness. And I said, that's fabulous, but how in the world are you going to measure that to ensure that you're getting the value that was intended from the deal? So unless you define that in the contract, for example, IT capabilities and effectiveness, I need to know where I'm at right now before the vendor comes in. So let's baseline or benchmark my services so I can see if they are indeed making my environment enhanced, more business capable, better performance. So without establishing that characteristic, I might not necessarily even think that the vendor is performing to what the contract dictates. So I think it's really important to articulate that, again, to have that unified vision about what the deal is all about, what value is intended, and tie that outsourcing contract to those deal values. And it has to be done through service levels. It has to be done through articulation of the right contract terms and conditions in your master services agreement. It has to be done by how that relationship is going to be governed. But you absolutely have to have the right measures in there, or if someone in your organization will be unhappy.